Are you ready? All
Can
right, let's do
you
it.
provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
Wow. Okay, so let's discuss this very quickly. First of all, I want to say again, I will say congratulations to Ketanji B. Brown Jackson as a black woman who is in the Supreme Court. It is an amazing achievement. That takes a lot of work, and we need to give credit where credit is due without being, I don't know, passive and disrespectful or whatever. But when it comes to this question here, she has failed miserably. Now, there are maybe several reasons for this. I think I spoke about this before. I have a video about that. But before I give you my thoughts and opinion, guys, can I ask you a question? For those of you in the chat room, I'm going to read your comments. What is a woman? What is a woman? What is a woman? And I really want to get your perspective on this. By the way, this is not a new notion. It's been discussed before, and I had shared a video of Mark Walsh. Let me see if I could find that on Dr. Phil's show, talking about what is a woman. And he asked the question to two transgenders that were there, and the answer that they gave was very strange as well. Very strange. So I want to hear your perspective. Somebody said, Dave said she is bad for the country. I mean that she will be a liberal coming from Biden's administration, but her sentence record on pedals is a big problem. I had seen that. I had seen the sentencing record of almost like 40 to 30 and percent less than what the prosecutor was also asking. And I know she was also speaking about how there are many factors that need to be considered, and how the Supreme Court is the one who determines how the judges ought to lay out their sentences for a particular crime. But it was still concerning, though, when you looked at the numbers and kind of how much she was, I don't know if she was being somewhat kind or sympathizing in some way. Maybe that's probably what it is. But it's concerning because you kind of wonder, despite of the facts, despite of the other facets that needed to be considered, the character and how long has this person done this, the egregiousness of the crime, and the context and all of that. We can speak about all of that, but a crime is a crime. And I think less time for certain crimes that we are advocating for, I think it's coming primarily from the Democratic Party. And I'm in no way trying to support one or dumb down the other, but I see the left is kind of like pushing this liberal perspective. Like you said, Dave, is it's a dangerous thing. In essence, that certain criminals can commit a crime and not have to really pay the rightful amount of time for these crimes, and they can do this over and over again and overwhelm the system. And the question is, do you believe, and there was a good question that was asked, do you believe the more time that a criminal has to pay for his crime, do you believe that will cause someone to think twice before he commits a crime? Let me go to the chat room here. What do we have? To me, go ahead, Sarah. To me, a woman. All right, go ahead, Sarah. I'm gonna let you preach here. To me, a woman means a person who has all necessary organs and ability to get pregnant and give birth. Amen, sister. I have to admit, listen, we can in our culture today, we can be as confused as we want to be. This doesn't change the fact that a man is still a man and a woman is still a woman. I tell you something. I put my hats. I raise my hats. I take off my hats for you ladies. Listen, man. My wife had 2 children. Well, she had 3. Listen, man. I don't want to have children. Okay, I've seen it. I'm like, yo, hey, you ladies do a good job. I'm not trying to be a woman. I don't have what it takes to be a woman, even if I wanted to. All right, it's okay. You want to feel however you want to feel, cross-dressing, and wear women long nails and long hair. You can do whatever you want. You can puberty blockers and I don't know, whatever kind of surgery you want to have. You go ahead. You got the money, you got the means. That makes you feel better about yourself. That's perfectly fine with me. But here's one thing though. You're still not a woman. I'm done talking. All right, let's move on with that. What is a woman? I'm gonna see. I know that there was a really good article. National Review kind of did a really exceptional job answering that. But before I do this, I want you to hear this controversy between Matt Walsh on the Dr. Phil show, where this question was asked, what is a woman? And how he confronted the issue. And I think he did an exceptional job with that. Let me read a few more comments. A woman is a biological, right? Is biological that have XX chromosome. This is very significant. This is the science talking here, right? They tell us to trust the science, right? So this is a good time to trust the science, because what biology has taught us is that a male does have an X and a Y chromosome, which really makes the big difference between a man and a woman, right? The XY and XX chromosome, that right there makes a huge difference. And no matter how many wig I put on my hair, on my head, I don't have much hair left, I'm running out. No matter how many wigs, no matter how beautiful, no matter how drag king or drag queen I behave, it doesn't make me a woman. All right, fine, you look cute. All right, the world can applaud you, but according to biology and according to truth, you are living a lie. It's just not fun. It's not so. And I'm not coming at you if you are a transgender person. My respect and love for you is the same for a person who is not, a person who is straight or heterosexual. I believe Jesus died for all people, no matter who you are. But what you're not gonna get me to do is to believe in your self-perception, in a lie that is not even based on biology, that is not based on facts. It's a bunch of charades and theatrics that I am not gonna get on board with. So I'll make my stand right there. Dave, yes I do. That's right, Dave. Let's move on. She's bad for the country. No, I think that we need to bring back public punishment. I agree, Christy. I think the more lenient we are with criminals, the worse things we'll get. I'll tell you what, man, I got a couple fines in the past for driving over the speed limit. And I'll tell you something, I won't do it again. And I remember one time I was driving, man, and this female cop pulled me. I tell you, these female cops sometimes are a little tougher than the male cops. Y'all ladies are something else. But anyway, she pulled me over. I was doing like a 10 on a, I was doing like about a 50 on a 40 or 35. I was running late for something, so I didn't even realize it. It was second nature for me. I was like, vroom! And then I saw those Christmas lights behind me. There goes this little short Spanish-looking cop, and I'm like, oh boy, here I am in trouble. And she gave me a nice fine. It was about $200 and something. But I'll tell you something. Every time I drive on that road, which is literally 5 minutes from where I live, I do not speed anymore. Not only did I learn my lesson, but I also even when I'm on a highway, I drive at a decent speed limit. Even now, I was driving in the car with my daughter, and she's like, "Why are you driving like so slow?" I wasn't driving slow. I was doing like 35 on the required speed limit, and for her, she thought I was slow. I'm like, "No, this is decent. I learned my lesson. Okay, I made some mistake. I got the fines," and I think. If people realize the consequences of their crimes ahead of time, it can be a means of preventing them from committing the crimes. If you smack me in my face, or if you punch me in my nose, or if you stab someone, this could mean jail times. This could mean crazy fines. you might think twice about doing it, because while the law cannot stop a person, I'm gonna read the quotation for you here. While the law cannot change a person's heart, but it can slow a person's motive and behavior. It can certainly do that. There's a way that Martin Luther King said about the law. There's a nice quotation. I'm gonna find it for you. He has a way that he puts that. Yeah, it may be true that the law. Yeah. Okay, here is the quotation. I found it. This is what Martin Luther King said, right? It may be true that the law cannot make a man love me, but it can keep him from lynching me, right? And I think that's a pretty good important, right? So if the law can slow down evil from taking place, hey, by all means, let's enforce it, because it seems like the more laws we remove, is the crazier things get, man. Look at the looting that took place during all these racial, wars and confrontation and issues that we're having in 2020, 2019. So you see, whenever the law is removed, people just go crazy. It is not safe to run a country where the law and the consequences for crimes are toned down. That's actually not a very good thing. It's never been good. Going back to the chat room here, I think we need to bring back, public punishment again. Okay, we said adult female, giving a definition of woman, an adult female with reproductive organs like woman, like womb, and the only one who can reproduce here, a human baby. That's right. And I'm gonna let you guys listen to Matt Walsh's discussion, because one thing that the LGBTQI, the transgender community will do, they will try to make it seem as though just because a person doesn't have these reproductive organ kind of thing, doesn't mean they're not a woman, doesn't mean they weren't born with that. That's a possibility to say that, but when you see the nature of that discussion, it is completely erroneous at heart. Because it's not just, I do agree that having those reproductive organs make you a woman, but a woman is much more than just that, because we are not just women because you can have babies, right? There's much more to women than just these things. So anyway, let's take a look at this video quickly, guys, and then we're going to talk, and we're going to pause and talk some more.
With this left-wing gender ideology is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. Like, what is a woman?
Well,
can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
Well,
how do you define a female?
Someone with female reproductive organs.
Okay.
Someone who's, here's the thing. When you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being.
Interesting. So I'm trying to understand. Your definition is that a woman is someone who is female, you said, right?
Correct. Is a biological female.
So what happens if we have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? Cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, but maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Maybe it doesn't have those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question.
You see that secular reasoning approach that's happening here is the idea that despite the fact that, by the way, Matt Walsh has done a great job answering these questions, which were not very difficult at all. If you just have a basic knowledge, you don't need a doctorate degree to be able to do this. But despite the fact he did a great job, you notice how the transgender individual took the time to make sure, I'm going to try to confuse you. I'm going to try to confuse you with some other reasonings. I'm going to try to make you think outside of the box, as if I'm going to try to help you to redefine what a woman is by taking away certain elements from womanhood and to say, outside of these elements, you're not a woman, right? You can then be something else. So as if the argument shows that people who become transgender are all supposed people who just can have babies and stuff like that. I mean, it is it is pure nonsense the way they doing this, and it's just, it lacks reasons to the highest form. I don't even know what to say, because again, let's listen to what Matt Walsh does here answering their question.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not
But
myself.
you used the word, so what did you mean when you said trans women?
That's a good point. What is a woman? You are claiming to be a woman, but you don't even know what it means. It's like, what? How do you take on a notion, take on a character, take on a title, and you lack the definition of that title? And goodness,
Men are women if you don't know what it means.
Right? So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
That describes what?
people who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
What's to each their own. Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently.
That doesn't,
and so
I'm not
trans
asking
women are women too.
Okay.
And you want to hold on.
Trans women are women. What, you won't even tell me what the word means, though. So that's the problem.
You want to reduce women, you want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes.
Well, that's actually essential for you to say that. And I love what he or she just said here, right? You want to reduce women to just their genitals and chromosome and biological makeup. That's not reducing, by the way. That's exactly what they are. And more than that. Okay, don't try to minimize women. Don't try to make them feel as if you can just become one of them just because you feel like it. Don't try to confuse the reality of what biology has explained, the truth about God, the truth about human nature, just because you have a poor self-perception of yourself. That doesn't change the facts. Okay. We are going to go to the chat room here. I want to hear your thoughts because I know you guys are commenting here below. All right, let's go back to S-Rib. A woman is naturally born human being from God with distinct reproductive organs. You go ahead, S-Rib. That offers, okay, from a natural born man, not organs that have been surgically detached. Preach it, brother. Dave, I feel bad for everyone in the swimming situation. It's a mess, Dave, and we're gonna look at that very quickly in a minute. Go ahead. He said, Piece Vet 34. You said being a woman or a man is down to the chromosomes. That's right. Bone structures, reproductive organs, and brain chemistry makeup. Wigs, distress makeup, hormones, replacement therapy, surgery cannot change that. Amen. Simple as that. You just can't. It's not something you can just put on, okay? It's either you got it or you don't. It's simple as that. I understand how you feel. I respect your feeling. There may be several reasons why a person is going to this gender dysphoria mentality. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be insensitive here. I'm a Christian. I believe in loving all people. But one thing you're not going to make me do is to believe a lie. All right, let's move on. And it says, Christy, yes, it can, but what I mean by public punishment is that if someone is found guilty of murder, then if we did everyone to see this death public, so some people will think twice about murder. I can see what you mean by that. I can see what you mean by that, and it is true that certain crimes need to be punished. They need to be used. They need to be made an example for others to never go and do the same thing. A male swimmer, all right, said, "Or shaped more like a dolphin. Have mercy." With a shorter leg, long reach, upper body strength, larger rib cage, larger lungs, and heart. You see, these are things that you can't undo. I don't care how many puberty blockers or hormone alternative things you've taken, how many pills supposedly to help you lessen and repress these natural things that God has placed in us. You can try all you want. You're not changing the facts that there is a difference between a man and a woman, in their muscles, in their heart, in everything, man. Thank you for that little, thank you, Sandra, for that, for those little biological thing here you're giving me. It's also interesting to note that not all gays and lesbians agree with transgender ideology. And I do agree. I've actually heard Even Bruce Jenner also went on Fox News and addressed that. And I do agree. Not all of them do agree with that, because an opposite gender could try to fool them into a relationship awkward situation. But this is one thing I'm gonna say though. When the Supreme Court voted for 2 men or 2 women to get married, I believe that was somewhere in 2014. So when that became law, it's almost like opening a door for everything else to come in. Now, do I disagree with a person getting married and stuff, whoever they want to marry? I don't disagree with that. I think if 2 men want to get married, they can. But it's not marriage in the context of what the Bible says. It's a marriage in the context of what we say down here. It doesn't really define marriage biblically either. But I do believe you have the right to do whatever you want. Here's where I have an issue, is when the court is getting involved in that and determining these factors. I have an issue with that. I think states should be making these decisions among themselves, leaders, people among themselves to decide that. But I think when the Supreme Court makes a decision such as that, because whenever you're dealing with marriage, you're dealing with more than a physical thing. You're dealing with something spiritual, because it came from God. You know, He had set up the order. And when you go and change that concept, it kind of shows you are telling God that you know better than Him. So when the Supreme Court makes that move, when they made that move, the door was open for everything else. Now, here's my argument. So if 2 men and 2 women can get married just because they feel like it, do you see now how far this is going? What about the pedophile who are now beginning to raise their voice and say, hey man, I'm attracted to a little boy, I'm attracted to a little girl, whatever, right? This 40-year-old man loves a 6-year-old boy and they want to get married. Now you're gonna say it's wrong. But guess what? It is wrong. It is evil. It's egregious. It's a crime. They should be put in prison. I don't even condone nor even pacify that crime. But what I'm trying to say is, by giving the transgenders or the LGBT community the right to get married, you also open the door for pedophilia to come in as well. So while it is wrong for pedophilia and people who are pedophile to do what they do, and I can't justify them in any way, but by opening the door for 2 men and 2 women to get married, now they see, and you know what, if they can get married because they feel like I'm a woman, they feel attracted to I feel like I'm attracted to a little boy, I should have the same rights. Do you see? So this could get really complicated, because while we're supposed to be trying to fix one problem, we open the door for another problem to come in, and here we are today, very confused about what's happening in our world. Anyway, let's go back.
Right? That's what you're saying.
You want to do is
that's what
you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood,
okay,
and turn it into basically a costume that can be worn. We've got when we've. Hey, it's real funny. It's real funny. It's real funny when you're.
Should look like. Right. As a man, you're literally saying this is what a woman is.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that a little sexist?
Because I am willing to define it, but you won't.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to be a woman to tell people what a woman is. You don't have to be a biologist major or any sort to be able to just look at, you know what I'm saying? I can tell the difference between a man and a woman. I can tell between a rabbit and a horse. I can tell the difference. It's just look at their genetics, look at the biology. Just, hey man, look at the nature. It's very clear. There's nothing to be confused about. And I think the level of confusion that is being imposed here in this discussion is completely, it's a show of being unnatural, totally confused about the basics, and I think this is exactly what the devil wants. I feel bad for everyone, right? Let's move on now. Christy, yes, it can be. Let's look at a male swimmer said, all right, shaped like a dolphin. Let's stay away from that. Nobody is being reproduced down here, right? A woman any less of a woman. I made a debate with someone like that support this movement, saying that is calling trans women a real woman doesn't. And that's fine. You can call them woman all you want. It doesn't change anything. No matter how many surgeries you have, no matter how many parts you detached, it just shows that the facts remains true, because you have to undo all of that. And I'll tell you another reality that a lot of people don't speak about. There's a lot of trans people, after they've done all their surgeries and cut this and cut that and made all this change, a lot of them have had an epiphany. They decided to, they woke up and they're like, oh my goodness, look what I've done to myself. You know, a lot of them kind of want to undo. They actually try to undo what they've done. And some of them become very suicidal because they realize God didn't create them in this way. So but that won't make the news very much. You kind of have to go on YouTube to dig for these type of things. Yeah. Take anything from a woman like me. That's right. There's an element of mental illness here. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. It's just there. It's very obvious. Very obvious, right? Yeah. So going back to World K, if they can't define woman, well, I'm not defining a Christian for them. That's a good point. That's a good point. Hey, World K, you act like a Christian. What is a Christian? I don't have a definition. I don't know what a Christian is, but you act like one. You say you are one. You know what I'm saying? So you claim something, but you don't even know what it means. So therefore, you should put the claim down and altogether behave normal. God's so mad. I feel minimized as a woman. Yeah. Like you said, to be a woman is being erased. And I think that's the problem that I have with these people. They think being a woman is an easy thing. Listen, man, you can't just do that. I mean, even being a man is not something a woman can just claim. I don't care how you have your pants sagging, you cut your hair and you behave and you wear your nice top suit, you wear a man jeans and everything, and even man shoes. You're still not a man. Stop it. You're not. You're not gonna change that. You know, I don't care how much the world loves you. The fact remains that you're just not. Biologically, you're not. In truth, you are not, because you have to live in this lie. You have to lie to yourself mentally every single day to live that way. And you know the fact is you're not. You're confused. You're hurting. Something has happened. There's something mentally going on. And Jesus came into the world to save sinners. Okay? No matter who you are as an individual, there's hope for you. But lying to yourself and trying to get me to join on you with your lie, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Not with this brother here. All right, I have a joke. Okay, go ahead, Roque. That says, sure, gay can marry the opposite gender just as much as the heterosexual can marry the same gender. Whatever, man. I totally agree with you. It's a sarcasm. I get it. Everything that was once deemed evil is seen as good now. Yeah. And everything that was once good is deemed as evil. You know, I'm not sure if you realize what you just did here. You know, when you put quotations like that, you get me going to the Bible. Let me go to my Bible because you started that. Don't get me preaching here. Listen to what you just said. What you just said here. What you just said here. He said Vat 34. I'm gonna just say 34. You said something that is very, very biblical. Okay. When you go to the Bible, I'm gonna show you. You said something that the prophet Isaiah actually confirmed. You may not realize you're speaking with biblical tones, but you are. Maybe you do. It's Isaiah chapter 5. Look what it says. Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. You see, what's happening today in our culture, we are calling good evil and evil good. We are putting light for darkness and darkness for light. And what was considered normal, we have forgotten about. We have come to a place where we say, I don't know what a woman is. I can't define it. Darkness. What happened? You know, going back to judge the Supreme Court nominee to be confirmed or already confirmed, I don't believe she's a bad individual. By the way, guys, I listened to her carefully and I examined her character, and I can tell this is a wonderful woman. But I think she has either been wrongly educated or she's being influenced in a negative way concerning certain things, certain theories coming from the West, coming from the left, and it's a lot of democratic movement and also not democratic so much, liberal mentality that is bringing about this level of confusion. I did a video about postmodernism, guys. If you've ever heard what postmodernism is about with Jordan Peterson, you need to go check that out because it kind of even explained what happened up here. But this woman, in my examination, She's a very exceptional lady. She's very she's got a wonderful heart from what I've heard. I don't say she's bad. I don't think so. I think she might be a decent person as far as being in the court. But I gotta tell you something though. You can be soft. So a person like that, I will pray for that the Lord give her the courage to stand for what is right. And I will do this for anybody who seems to have the heart to stand for truth. And I'll tell you another thing though. If you're gonna be part of anything, especially that deals with people, you're gonna have to know what it means to love people, and you have to actually have the guts to confront evil. If you don't do those two things very well, you're gonna have a real serious problems in your hands. So yeah, guys, we're gonna move on now. I want to acknowledge someone in the chat room. Oh, Mike That Crosby. my wife and I were just talking about you. Thank you for that. Don't miss Leah Thompson discussion. I'll go back. Yeah, well, by the way, Leah Thompson discussion is about to happen now. But before I do that, let me read this quotation here. Thank you for the super chat, Mike. I appreciate you. Now look at this. This is coming from nationalreview.com. And the question was, what is a woman? And guess what? You guys were on point with your definition, by the way. So here is the definition. The definition is, quite simply, a woman is an adult female. A woman belongs to the female sex, which means that she has female chromosomes, reproductive organs. All right, girl. Miss 34, PSET Vet 34, and gametes. I might be saying this one, or gametes. Sex is observable at birth, even earlier with ultrasound technology, detectable long after DNA, after death by DNA testing. Have mercy. So in other words, you can tell what a woman is before she comes out of her mother's womb. Even after she passes away, dry bones, we can still pull a DNA test and determine her sex. So we have these men today that are just putting on these wigs and thinking that they become women. Whether you better go and sit down, do some praying, and maybe go see a psychologist. You need help. All right, let's move on.